Obito Uchiha, another person with the Sharingan, where although frankly may not have the same kind of access to crazy genjutsu as Itachi, the Sharingan does still present Gojo with that same kind of illusionary tactic that he would, as well as a kind of completely different space manipulation compared to Gojo's push and pull. So I'm curious to how you think that they would kind of interact with each other.
This is the most annoying battle in the universe to watch because you just have two people who are intangible in completely different ways. Obviously, Obito with Kamui has a little bit more of like a blatant weakness in the sense that he can't attack and defend himself with it at the same time, and he also has a 5-minute consecutive time limit. Granted, he can just literally turn it off for a second and turn it back on and reset that time limit, so it's not that much of a weakness. And we're getting to the point in terms of like Naruto characters where they, in terms of speed, just really do scale higher than Gojo's. Like the weaknesses of Kamui that can be exploited by the likes of like Minato by blitzing him aren't something that Gojo can access, right? Gojo's going to be finally going up against a person that is just as annoying to try to hurt as he is to the rest of the verse. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm gonna be really honest. The only way I can see this fight concluding is Gojo like makes contact with Obito, right? Intentionally so, in the sense that he's attacking him and Obito lets that happen, specifically so that Obito can use like that actual contact, send him to the Kamui dimension, and then just immediately leave. And that's a little convoluted of a way to get him there to like actually remove him from the battlefield. I mean, red, blue, purple, physical attacks, none of those are really working on Obito in, you know, fire style jutsu, all of his physical abilities. In order for Kamui to work, he has to typically make contact with him. It's not like he has Kakashi's long range sniping ability. So the only way, like, I mean, I guess you could argue domain expansion, like that'd probably still work on Obito. If you think him being in the Kamui dimension, but like seeable in our reality means he can be hit by that, it's possible. Is Obito's activation of Kamui fast enough to take advantage of like the small moments of physical contact that Gojo makes when he's like, you know, doing hand-to-hand or close quarters fighting?
The one thing that I love to hear you say was that Obito would take advantage of the intangibility of the Kamui to possibly get contact on Gojo. I think that would be, because that was the first thing I thought of, is technically speaking, he could wait for Gojo to try and make a move. Obito goes intangible, and then at the last second, shouldn't he bypass the limitless if he's just directly making contact with Gojo's body at that point?
Yeah, you could definitely make an argument for something like that. Or in the worst case scenario, it can be one of those things where we've seen him get punched in the war before and things of that nature. Imagine Gojo uses one of his like bloom enhanced punches and he's like dragging him across the battlefield. He does the same thing with Minato, or at least attempts to do the same thing with Minato. Takes advantage of Minato's attack, uses that physical contact, and then tries to just BFR him, just like teleport him to Kamui. But at this level, it's just kind of like, do they just not hurt each other? Do they just come to an agreement like, all right, bro, listen, I'm intangible, you're intangible, albeit for a completely different reason.
It's been 5 days. Let's call it quits.
I'm kind of tired, right? And the stamina thing, I mean, maybe you could say Gojo has more stamina, but Obito was fighting a war for like an entire day straight of like controlling Biju, actually fighting Naruto, Kakashi, Guy, and like many other characters continuously for an entire day. So at the bare minimum, they're fighting for 24 hours before any of them even decides to give up or get tired. Man, is the beef really that strong? Like, do they really need to keep, like, at that point, just call it quits? Like, what are we doing here fighting for an entire day straight? But no, like, on a serious note, I do think it's just a matter of Obito's better reaction times probably allow him to take advantage of the minimal contact time that exists when Gojo's actually hitting somebody, and when, like, he's obviously not applying the limitless in the same effect of, oh, we're not touching each other.
Sharingan should help too with that.
It definitely should. It's a bit of a long shot, right? For sure. It's just one of those things where neither character really has a way to hurt the other. I mean, all physical attacks are just not even really worth talking about in either regard.
Do you think that Jinchuriki Obito makes any difference or adds anything that would actually give him the win?
It's an interesting thing because he gets the benefit of just being like way stronger than Gojo in terms of like stats now, but he also loses out on Kamui. Like, he can't use Kamui while being a Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails for some odd reason, and that kind of sucks for him a little bit. So it's not like one True Seeking Orb hitting Gojo in even a relatively lethal spot, like the fight's over. It's just a matter of actually like accomplishing that, I think.